Hey, and hope you're doing well today. Russ Rodgers back with you with some cool exercises that will get your right hand working cleanly and efficiently on a 5-string bass. So get your bass out and tuned up and we'll get started. Today I'll be showing you some right hand exercises that will teach your hand to get rid of some string ring problems you may have been running into on the 5-string. First, let's look at how to position the left hand while doing the right hand exercises. Okay, when doing the open string exercises, you will run into problems coming down from the higher strings to the lower strings with the strings overringing each other, which is not a very pleasant sound. So to make these exercises not just nicer to listen to while you're working on them, if you just lightly lay your first finger between the nut and the first fret, it will mute the strings enough so that you'll be able to hear the pitches but get rid of the overring. So you can just move it back, a little forward or a little backward to get the sound that you want. Just lightly touch down, but don't press down like you're fretting the notes. You're just lightly touching. And you should get this kind of sound here as you go up and down the strings. So remember, this is just to make it nicer to listen to as you're working on these exercises. This doesn't really affect the right hand form or anything. Now let's take a look at right hand form, picking and muting. All right, the first thing we want to avoid doing is resting our arm on the bass. We don't want to put any pressure of the hand or the arm on the instrument because this will interfere with mobility this way, as well as putting, pressure on those veins in the arm, so that you can cause your actual fingers to go numb if you put too much down here. So your arm should be floating just over the instrument. All right, second thing, we'll start with putting our thumb resting right on the pickup here when playing on the B string. All right, I recommend not sitting on the cliff here. It's a comfortable anchor, but it really does interfere with the muting techniques I'm going to show you, so resting the thumb here is better. Also, trimming the thumbnail on the right hand so that the flesh part of the thumb contacts the pickup, because if the nail hits it, it'll slide around and won't grip very well. You don't have to just keep your hand on this pickup. You will be able to eventually move the hand this way and this way, depending on what kind of sound you get. But this is a good place to start to get comfortable with the actual form of the right hand. All right, so the idea is to basically keep our hand in this shape as we move up and down the strings, keeping it very, very relaxed. Okay, so if I were going to play a B string note, when I pick the notes, I want my finger to glide over the top of the string, grip the string, keeping tension in these two joints of the finger, not letting them buckle in or collapse. You don't want them to buckle in backwards like this. You want to keep tension in those joints and let the finger slide out from the string slide out from underneath the finger. Because if you let them collapse, you lose energy and you don't get as much power out of the finger, and you also don't get as good a tone. Also avoid going out and over. You want to just reach over the strings, grip it, and pull it. All right, as you go to the E string from the B, your thumb will sit on top of the B like this. And then you'll pick the E string, allowing the fingers to fall firmly against the string behind it. When I go to the A string, my thumb follows up and is now sitting on the B and the E while I'm picking the A. When I go to the D, my thumb follows up, now sitting on the B, E, and A string while I'm picking the D. And finally, when I go to the G, my thumb is sitting on the B, E, and A, which are really the critical ones here. I like to have mine touching the D because it does help keep my hand more relaxed in this position without reaching with the finger some. But as far as the muting goes, the rest stroke off the G will keep the D string quiet. But you can let the thumb sit on the B, E, A, and D while you play on the G. And then as you go back to the lower strings, the thumb's just a string behind what you're playing. Now for exercise 1. Okay, in this exercise we're going to do 4 notes per string on the open strings using the right hand form we just discussed. Now you don't have to worry about doing these in time or with a metronome. Eventually once you get the form down, that'll be fine. But to get started, really just take 1 string at a time, adjusting the movements as you go. All right, and also we want to alternate our right hand fingers. I suggest counting 1, 2, 1, 2, several times going up and down, and then 2, 1, 2, 1. This will help facilitate the alternation of the right hand fingers. All right, exercise number 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now 2-1 alternation. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Let's look at exercise 2. Okay, in exercise number 2, we have 2 notes per string. All right, so we want to alternate 1, 2, 1, 2, going up and down, and then go back and do a 2-1 alternation. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now 2-1 alternation. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now let's check out exercise 3. All right, in this one, we're going to do 1 note per string. All right, first doing a 1-2 alternation, and then a 2-1 alternation. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Then 2-1 alternation. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope these exercises will help you in working up your right hand technique. Don't forget to